Guys, I am Saur Gupta and I welcome to our channel. So today we are going to talk about one of the most important topic in software development lifecycle, JWT token. So if you are a developer or a computer science student, so you have probably heard about this token before. So in this video, we will understand what JWT is, why it's used and how it's work in real world application. So without any further delay, let's move on to today's topic, what JWT is. So today we are going to cover all following these point in the video. So first we will see what is token, then we'll see why do we need a token, then we'll see what is a JWT token, and we'll see what is the structure of JWT token, how is a JWT token generated, how is a JWT token validated on the server side, and then we'll see what if a hacker steal your token and manipulate the payload. And then in the last we'll discuss what is access token and what is refresh token. So let's discuss our first point. What is a token? So token is simply a small piece of information used to identify, verify or give access to something. So let's see with real world example. Suppose you go to theater and when you buy a ticket, you get a ticket number with you get a ticket with a seat number. Okay, so that ticket is not your identity, but it's proof that you have a permission to enter and sit on a specific seat. So that ticket is like a token. So here what ticket is containing your small piece of information that you are a person, you have purchased a ticket for this movie and this ticket is valid for this time duration. So it is containing the information, so it is containing information, it is containing identity, so we can consider it is like as token. So let's see our next point. So why do we need a token? So we use token to authenticate users securely without sending credential repeatedly and to manage access efficiently. So what does repeatedly means over there? So let's see it with one scenario example. So in client server architecture, client make a request to server, server process the request and send response back to client. Okay, now client server architecture uses the HTTPS protocol for communication. So HTTP is an stateless protocol, meaning server does not store any client information, client session in the server by default. So as a result, we need to send every single information to server by which server can know that who made the request. So as a result, every request must carry all the necessary data. So okay, so let's see with one example. So suppose you open your phone and go to browser and go to Facebook and make a login request with your credential. So server first validate your credential. If your credential is valid, then it will give you a response. Now you are able to see homepage of Facebook. Okay, now when you make a next request like add friend, so server does not know who made the request. So here in this case, server give you a 401 status response because server don't know who make the request. So here server easily give you a 401 status response, mean unauthorized. Okay, so in this case we can implement two approach. Either we send our credential in every request or we can go with authentication token. So let's see what if we send our credential in every request. So here client suppose you make a login request with your credential. So first server validate your credential. If your credential is valid, then it will give you a response and now you are able to see homepage of Facebook. Okay, now when you make a next request like add friend, you again need to pass your credential. So here first server validate your credential. If your credential is valid, then it will process the request and send response back to you. 200 means okay, that's fine. Okay, but ideally we should not implement this approach because in every request we are exposing our credential, which is not good, I guess. So we should go with authentication token. So JWT is used to create an authentication token. So JWT is an open source open standard defined by RFC 7519. Okay, so let's see our next point. So what is JWT? A JWT is a stateless authentication token that securely transfer users identity and authorization data between client and server. Okay, so let's see our next point. What is the structure of token? So a JWT token consists of header, payload, signature used to securely transfer claim between client and server, and these all three things are separated by a dot, so we can easily know that what is header, what is payload, and what is signature in JWT token. Okay, so let's see what is header. So header tells what type of token it is and which algorithm is used to sign it. So means header contain metadata of token. So what algorithm we are going to create token and what kind of token it is, so it's all information is stored in header. Okay, so what is payload over there? So the payload contain users data. So claim what we use in backend side, and it contain the users data, such as you can add your user ID, you can add your username, email, your role, and expiry time of your token. Okay, so here we should not add our password. I will tell you why we should not add password in the payload in the next point. Okay, so now in the third point, signature is very important part of JWT structure, because in validation we are comparing the signature, so it's very important things in JWT token. So signature ensure token integrity. So we'll see how we generate signature. Okay, so there is one more important thing come in JWT is what is secret key. So a secret key is a private string known only to the server, used to create and verify the JWT signature. So if I talk about the example of secret key, so secret key could be your name, could be your company name, could be anything, but ideally we should not use our name, our company's name, because someone can easily guess your secret key. So we should avoid using our name, company's name. In place of our name, company name, we should use random string so that someone cannot easily get your secret key. Okay, so let's see our next point. How is a JWT token generated? So this is our header, and when we encode this header, so it will look like this. So we are just encoding in base 64. So when we encode, so it will look like this, and this is our payload. When we encode this payload, so it will look like this. Okay, now okay, now when we take our encoded header, encoded payload, and use our secret key, so a new signature is generated. So this signature is created using cryptography finally. So okay, so when we combine all these three string separated by a dot, then we get a complete JWT token. So this is our complete JWT token. So let's see our next point. How is a JWT token validated on the server side? So it's very important to know that we can understand how validation works in the server side. So in the login time we generated this token, and in the next subsequent request we pass this token with request. So server first extract this encoded header, then extract encoded payload, and extract this signature. Okay, now this is our encoded header, encoded payload, and this is our signature. Okay, now with the help of secret key, encoded header, encoded payload, they generate a new signature. Okay, now they will compare this new signature with the old signature which is coming with the token. If both signature matches, so it forward your request to next process. If the signature doesn't match, it block your request and give you 401 status response, means unauthorized. Okay, so let's see the flow with authentication token, how things work with authentication token. So suppose again you go to browse, you go to your browser, go to Facebook and make a login request with your credential. So here server first validate your credential, and if your credential is valid, then it will going to generate JWT token. And once JWT token is generated, then it will send this token as a response to client, and client will store this token, and in the next subsequent request client will use this token in the request. Okay, so now when you make next request, the client will pass this token in the request, and server first validate this token. If the token is valid and if the token is not expired, so it will move your request to the next process. Or if the anything is not matched, or if token is expired, so it will going to give you 401 status response, mean unauthorized. Okay, so in the above point I have told you that the token is your identity. So here this token is your identity, and if someone is steal this token, so they can make a request on behalf of you. So suppose hacker steal your token. Okay, so hacker steal your token, and when they make request to server, so server know that, server think that you are making request, so it will again process as it do, and it send response back to client, means hacker. So that is why it's very important that we should store this token very securely in the client side, so that no one can access this token and make request on behalf of you. So let's see our next point, that is what if hacker steal your JWT token and manipulate the payload. Okay, so this is the access token, and hacker know that the second part of string is your encoded payload. Okay, so they extract this token, and when they decode this encoded payload, so it will look like this, and they can manipulate your role from admin to super admin, or they can change user ID. Suppose here we are using user ID 10, they can change user ID 11, 12. Okay, so in this case we are just manipulating role from admin to super admin. Okay, and then they encode this manipulated payload. Okay, so when they encode, so it will look like this, and something in the encoded payload will change. So suppose this is the changed string. Okay, so now this is the token is passing to server. Okay, now server first extract this encoded header, extract this encoded changed payload, and with the help of secret key it will generate new signature. Okay, now this will change because the encoded payload is changed, so newly signature will be changed. Okay, so now when they compare this new signature with the old one, so it will not match, and it will block your request and give you 401 status response. This is how actually validation works. So now you have a clear picture how validation work in the JW. Let's move to our next point. What is access token and refresh token? So access token is also a JWT token which has a short-lived expiry time, example 1 day, and refresh token is also a JWT token which has a long-lived expiry time, example we can say 15 days. Okay, so let's see the flow of access token and refresh token with one example. So here client make login request, so server first validate your credential. If your credential is valid, then it will generate a new access token and refresh token and send response to client. So client will store this both token very securely, and if your access token is not expired, so it will give you two-handed status response. Okay, so after 1 day your access token will expire. Okay, so after 1 day when you make a request, so your access token is expired, so server will give you 401 status response. So in the client side we handle this situation. So when we get 401 status response, so we make a next request to generate access token. So in this request we pass refresh token, and now here server first validate your refresh token. If your refresh token is not expired, so it will generate a new access token and pass this access token to client. Now client will use new access token to make request. Okay, after 15 days when we generate a new access token, so in this case refresh token will also expire. So now you will redirect, now you will get 401 status response and you will redirect to login page. So you again need to log in after 15 days. This is how access token and refresh token works. Okay, so that's all for today's topic. If you want implementation video on this topic, drop a comment below and I will make a detailed video for you. Thank you for watching.